Hi, good morning. How are you today? Okay, so where did we stop last time? I think it's well Buddhism, the Theravada Buddhism, and this morning we will have another topic. The topic entitled Confucianism. Okay, so whether we like it or not, this is another type of a belief or a religious system. Okay. By the way, for this topic, we'll be talking a little about Confucius, um, some of his works, and his life. Okay. We will also be talking of what Confucianism is all about and the analects or the principles of life. Okay. So let's start. Okay. So kindly get your pen and paper and please write down important um, things so that you'll not be able to forget. Alright. So who is Confucius? Okay, so as you can see on the screen, Confucius was a philosopher and a teacher who lived from 551 to 479 BCE. So his thoughts on ethics, good behavior, and moral character were written down by his disciples in several books. The most important being the Lunia. Okay, so Confucianism believes in ancestor worship and human-centered virtues for a what? For living a peaceful life. All right. So Confucianism, for them, Confucianism is not a religion, but it is a way of life. Okay, so you can read the first part, the first paragraph. Confucianism is a way of life based on the teachings of Confucius. So, as we all know, that he's a Chinese philosopher who lived in the 6th and the 5th century BC. So Confucius emphasized humanness, loyalty, reciprocity, filial piety, and ritual norms as the core values for a harmonious society. Okay, third paragraph. Confucianism is not a religion, but rather an ethical and moral guide that influenced the culture, politics, and education of China and other East Asian countries. Next is Confucius. Confucius was a master of 6 arts: ritual, music, archery, charioteering, calligraphy, and arithmetic. So he became a teacher and a mentor to many students. Then Confucianism believes in ancestor worship and the golden rule: do not do unto others what would not want others to do unto you. Indot kayo, no? And Confucianism views society as a family with a patriarch as a leader and the children as the followers. So it stresses the importance of hierarchy, duty, and respect. By the way, I have here a brief what we call brief introduction of what the Analects is all about. So the Lunio or the Analects, it is the most revered sacred scripture in the Confucian tradition. It was probably compiled by the succeeding generations of Confucius' disciples. We have Mencius and what was that? Laelius. Okay, so it is based primarily on the sayings. It is preserved in both oral and written translations or transmissions, and it captures the Confucian spirit in form and content in the same way that the Platonic dialogues embody Socratic pedagogy. So the Analects has often been viewed by the critical modern reader as a collection of unrelated reflections randomly put together. That impression may have resulted from the unfortunate perception of Confucius as a mere common sense moralizer who gave practical advice to students in everyday situations. Okay? So if readers approach the analects as a communal memory, a literary device on the part of those who consider themselves beneficiaries of the Confucian way to convey the masses' memory and to transmit his form of life as a living tradition, they came close to why it has been revered in China for so many years. Okay, now I have here 10 primary reasons no, that you can get from the analects. Okay, so what are those? What are those that possess a what we call this that inspires for us written by Confucius? So unsa man siya? Okay, number 1, never impose on others what you would not choose for yourself. So it's the golden rule and the essence of real compassion. Not compassion as in looking down on someone and have pity for another. Huh? That is no real compassion. Compassion means seeing another person 100% equal to yourself. Okay? In value, not in differentials on the surface, which ultimately do not matter. In fact, it is seeing yourself in every other person, and therefore you cannot harm anyone without harming yourself. Nindot kayo kanang kung ingan na atong pagtanaw sa mga tao. I know, nindot atong kalibutan. It doesn't mean to lose individuality or self-worth, but on the contrary, no? It is looking at the persons, no? It is looking at the other person's equal footing as you do. Okay? So muna siya nga pare-pareho gid ay. Alright. The next is real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Okay. That's my personal favorite quote since it expresses something very profound, which is also very useful to know. That ignorance is a willful neglect or refusal to acquire knowledge. It is not widen one own's perspective in order to see a broader truth. As an example, it would have racist thoughts and not realizing that all men are equal. So the ultimate truth, therefore, is where there is absolutely no ignorance, meaning where the perspective or consciousness has become one, all that there is. So in Buddhism, ignorance or the avidya is seen as a primary cause of suffering, and liberation is enlightenment. Another quote by Confucius here is, ignorance is the right of mind, and a night of mind, a night without moon and star. Nindot guys, Confucius. Next is, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. That's a third from the analogs. So those quotes are just perfect. What he is expressing here is that we have to experience something ourselves in order to really understand it. So if we are hearing something, it might be interesting. If we are seeing something, it might be beautiful. But only if we feel in happening to ourselves, we can really know how it is. Picture something nice as winning as an Olympic medal, or picture something terrifying as loss of a loved one. Can you know this by hearing it or by seeing it, or you have to do it and experience it yourself to really know it? Along with this realization comes the awareness that you cannot understand someone or his actions by hearing or seeing it from the outside. You have to feel empathic compassion for him to really know what it is like. To know and not to do is really not to know. Only by applying our knowledge we can validate its harmony with reality. That is the truth. Okay. Now we go to the fourth one. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Amazing. Okay. So it calls for dropping the inner mask through which we constantly see and evaluate the world, distorted by our wants and belief systems. We have to look at things as they are, just like a newborn child will look on at things. Then we are able to see again without instant labeling of what we see, and therefore only really seeing our level. So if we become able to do this just for a second without judgment, we can see that everything in nature is like is that should be where it is placed, and in this natural perfection lies beauty. The fifth is the superior man is aware of righteousness. The inferior man is aware of advantage. Another quote: the subject of superior man is truth. It is the value of integrity. Do we act to our best knowledge of truth, or do we bend ourselves and violate our integrity in order to gain an advantage? Do we really play fair game or use perfidious tactics? To be truthful to ourselves is also important to the development of what? Of good character. And it is the only straight way for what? Liberation. That. Hubog na mo? Papa. Okay, number 6. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. Whatever you do and whatever you commit to, do it fully. Give your all, 100%. It is the essence of carpe diem, that is seizing the day, and it's surely the best way to be satisfied with what we do and get the best results. Number 7. Our greatest glory is not never falling, but in getting up every time what we do, or every time we fall. So there is no failure. There are only valuable learning experiences, according to Confucius. Or as Thomas Edison, about inventing the light bulb, said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So the important thing is that it's not giving up, but learning and then improving by using this feedback to to get better and ultimately succeed. So a quote expressing the same principle is, a man who has committed a mistake and doesn't correct it is committing another mistake. Okay, so hindot kayo. Number 8, he who learns but does not think is lost, and he who thinks but does not learn is in grave danger. Confucius explains the connection of learning and reflection. Reflection of what we have learned by thinking, or of the results we get by applying the knowledge. Study without reflection is a waste of time. Reflection without study is dangerous. It is similar quote of Confucius. Learning is only useful if we connect the learning within our own minds with what we already know and what is useful for us. So this reflection of any knowledge also saves us from blindly following any knowledge without checking its truthfulness and validity to us. And you know what? I think everybody experienced learning when we really want this knowledge and be able to interweave it with what we already know. If there is a need or a problem we want to solve, the consumed knowledge much more effective than it happens for students in many universities. The next is, he that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. This quote calls for planning and preparation. This includes getting and improving the personal skills we need to be successful. So if you want to hold speeches, we have to become good with it, with our communication skills. If you want to win a race, we have training for it. If you want to do a big project, we need knowledge in project management. Okay, as Stephen Covey calls it, sharpening the saw. Read about here. Huh? We cannot be successful in life if our tools must not be sharpened first. So we must do it. The last but not the least, here on my list, this is the quote: if you look into your own heart and you find nothing wrong there, what is there to worry about? What is there to fear? Okay. So it shows that our primary work lies within ourselves. To work on ourselves and to improve. This is it will automatically take care of the outside world if we use our abilities then. When we see men of contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. The solution to the problems is not out there. It is in the inside out approach. Success and happiness can only be found by working on ourselves. It also entails a spiritual message to look inside and to discover fully ourselves. Confucius is, he's not talking here with, with insensibilities, but he's appealing to each of our hearts through the analects that we should do this stuff. We should what? We should take to heart the lessons because in this, okay, or what is life what lost if not being taken. All right. Okay, so that is it. Well, do you have any questions before I forget? Do you have questions? Do you have questions? Alright, so Lumi will be following shortly. Okay, precedence of each class, kindly take note of the scores in Lumi. Take note also of those students who are taking care of what or what you might call it, viewing the videos I have for you. All right, so it's almost 11 o'clock. Can I check on your watch there? Okay, so see you around. See you around. Thank you and good morning. See me on my next video. Goodbye.